What's going on, guys? My name is Brandon. Welcome back to the KTM 250 two-stroke budget rebuild, and we've got a lot of stuff we're going to do today. We're going to be putting in all the electrical, finishing up a lot of things, and we're going to be taking off that tire from that wheel using that stand that we built in a recent episode. It's going to be that and more, so be sure to stick around. Now, when I got the bike, guys, this ignition module, if you remember right, was down like here above the motor. And I think they did that so that this doesn't get wet and stuff like that. But I'm kind of torn about what to do. But I mean, the factory put it here, so I'm going to put it back here for right now. And if I decide that I need to change it down the road, I will. But I kind of want to keep it is close to how it was, so I'm just going to put a little bit of Loctite, blue Loctite, on these upgraded stainless steel screws, and that way I don't have to worry about them vibrating loose and coming out. Doesn't that look nice, guys, that upgraded hardware? You know, another reason that they might have moved this is because with your steering stops that are right here, this limits your travel to turning the wheel. And if you're doing a lot of like off-road and wood stuff, you want to be able to turn the wheel as much as possible. So with this here, you can screw this little bump stop in a lot further, but yeah, I don't really have a need to turn much more than that, so yeah. And now that I got these tightened up, and I know that they're tight and they got Loctite on them, I'll do what I usually do with all my other fasteners, and that is put a little dot on them with marking paint to know that I've already been there and done it. And I only do this after I've actually tightened it up and I know it's tight, so I will not have to go back at that. So anything that I see white, I know that I can skip over. Anything that isn't, I need to check. So now I got to attach the coil to the frame, so I got to make sure that this has a nice connection so it gets good spark. We don't want a problem there. So powder coat's thick, so what I'm going to do is I'm just taking this scuff pad on the end of a drill, and I'm just going to sand down these tabs so they get real good connection. And I'm going to do the same thing on the coil. Make sure that the coil has got nice bare metal. See that? Nice and shiny metal. And I'm going to put it in with a stainless steel screw so it won't corrode. Now I'm not going to put any Loctite or Never Seez on this because I want a good connection, and that's one of the reasons why I'm using the stainless steel, because that connection will never rust. So now I got to make up the connections that come out of the ignition box, which is right here that we just put on. So that's these wires, and then they go down to the motor down here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use an electric connector grease, and what that does is that just helps waterproof this connection, and it makes it prevents corrosion, makes assembly and disassembly a lot easier. I've already wiped down all these connections with a little bit of Scotch-Brite, and then I'm just going to smear a little bit of this compound on it. So obviously this one goes like that. I'm telling you what, guys, if you've never done a project like this, taking something completely apart and then completely restoring it, I'm telling you, it's the greatest feeling. It is so relaxing and enjoyable. As long as you go at it with that mindset that it's not becoming a job and that you're enjoying it, because in my younger years when I do stuff like this, I'd really strive for perfection, and sometimes I'd get so angry at myself that I couldn't just get it right, or it wouldn't go as fast as I wanted it to go, and I'd get discouraged. So I mean, I guess if you've got the mindset that, you know, focus on your goal, like for this, I know I want to race this. This isn't going to be a, you know, like a trailer queen where I just drive it around and have everybody look at it and I never use it. I want it to look good, but it doesn't have to be perfect. That's the idea behind it. With that in mind, I just do my best to clean up everything, you know, try not to break the bank, and just try to do a good job and have the mindset when I'm doing this that it's just relaxing. You know, I'm not under a time crunch to do anything. And quite honestly, it's quite therapeutic for me. we all have jobs and we work and we do stuff like that. So this is just kind of like a nice escape from your everyday job to have something that's just kind of like all mine. So yeah, it's fun. I enjoy it. I think it keeps me my mental clarity, you know.
And because I've labeled everything real well, it's just easy to find where all these parts go. Now I'm just grabbing parts out of a bag and putting them on, and this is for the chain roller.
Now we're going to get this tire off, and we got to take that sprocket off. And the easiest way we're going to be able to do that is put it on this tire changing stand that we just built in last week's episode, or in a recent episode. So if you haven't seen that video, go check that out. But wow, check this out, guys. Look. Loose. A couple of these were loose. That one's loose. Let's see. Is this one loose? Yeah. How loose that is. It's crazy. Look. That one's loose. That one's loose. That one's tight. That one's loose. That one's loose. Every one of them's loose. And I have all new bolts, guys, for this.
I went with the same type twin ring Renthal sprocket. It's just a little bit different color when you see it, and I have actually all new front sprocket, rear sprocket, and a DID chain, so it should run like new.
Re-geared this bike too, guys. I'm not sure which way I went. I cannot remember. Yeah, I can't remember if I went with a higher gear or a lower gear, but we'll find out when we get ready to put it back together. Yeah, and you can see, guys, kind of like how the teeth are kind of slightly fish hooked. It's not super worn, but it's worn a little. Enough that I didn't want to have to replace it later down the road, so I just do it all now.
Now, I've already got a great idea for that rear sprocket for an upcoming project, and I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it apart, and we're going to make some shelf brackets out of it. It should look pretty cool.
So I had a little bit of an issue. I had to clamp down that stand because it was sliding around. But that's why I said when I built that, if you saw that video, that I built it so I could clamp it down to that table right there, my fabrication table. But you can pretty much bolt it down anywhere. So that's what I'm doing there, just so it doesn't slide around when I'm prying on it, trying to get the tire off.
This is my first time ever removing a dirt bike tire. I've done other types of tires, but never a dirt bike tire, and this really wasn't any different than any other. It's pretty easy.
Guys, I could not be happier with how this setup is working, honestly. I mean, this thing is awesome. Just being able to rotate it around like this and get a good vantage point is incredible. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to push this bead off, and then we're going to get this rim lock out of here.
And although this is the first dirt bike tire I've ever removed and taken apart, I have done enough tires that have tubes in them to know that you have to be really careful when you're working with tires and tubes so that you don't pinch the rim, especially when you're taking the tire off. So I was remarked at how heavy duty and thick the tire tubes are, much thicker than like a car or truck tube.
That just locks the tire in. Locks the tire to the bead to the rim so you can run low pressure and it won't spin the tire on the rim.
And then once you get the bead broken on one side, then you just take out the tube and then you can flip it around and do the other. Again, just being real careful.
Just out of curiosity, guys, I wanted to see how much run out this wheel had, meaning how much it could be bent, either wobbling side to side like this or up and down oblong like that. So I just chucked it up in my tire balancer just to get an idea of where we were at. Check this out. All right, ready? I'm just going to spin it. Check that. I mean, normally you'd have like a dial indicator to see, but I mean, there is really not a whole heck of a lot of visual run out side to side. Looks like it might have a little bend somewhere on here, but we'll see. Maybe I'll just bang it a little bit. And if you pick a point looking down this way, you want to make sure that the wheel's not oblong, and that's pretty good too. Check this out. And pick a point. It's pretty straight. I think they say within 0.02 is adequate, but I'll have to verify that. But I would say this is within 0.02. But I'm going to check all the spokes and everything before we put the new tire on it. Make sure everything's all good. Alright guys, so we had a slight change of plans. If you've watched last week's episode, you'll know that we no longer have the steering triple tree on there. I've taken this off, I've just scotch brighted everything down, and then I'm just going to shoot on some clear coat on this, just so that this will always stay looking nice. That way I don't have to worry about like protecting it or polishing it, and I like the finish that it looks like right now, so I want to keep it that way. So I'm going to clear it so it'll continue to look that way.
And I'm not using anything special for clear. It's just something that I picked up at my local automotive store, and it's the same clear that I actually used on the wheels for the TRX 70 restore, and I'll put a link to that video up above.
Yeah, that's going to look really good now, guys. You see that? So rather than just leave them bare, now it'll have a nice protective finish on it. I'll do a couple more coats, and see what I did here. I took the old bearing race that we pressed out, and I just dropped it on over that bearing so we don't get any overspray down inside that bearing to kind of mess that up. So I'm going to do a couple more coats here, but while these are drying, I'm going to start working on the forks and getting those cleaned up, so when we put this all back together, we can get the front end all together, get the handlebars on it, and get moving forward. Alright, so one of the first things I want to do is get some of these stickers off this. Get them all cleaned up, and then we can put whatever we want on them for stickers. Just getting all this nonsense off there is going to make it look a lot better. Try heating it up with a blow dryer.
So here's a money-saving tip for you guys. You don't have to go out and buy anything special to do this. Just go in the bathroom and find your wife's blow dryer and just take it. Now, don't ask, because if you ask her for it, she's going to say no. She's going to be afraid that you're going to bring it back broken. So smuggle it out of there. Just don't tell her.
Wow, these don't come off too easy. Now I'm just taking some acetone and wiping everything down, trying to get all this sticky residue off the forks. Hey guys, not a whole lot is like changed. I'm just trying to clean up the shop and get rid of some stuff. So I took off the thermostat and the temperature sensor off the other hoses, and just kind of like put these together just to get them out of the way. And these are Pro Factory hoses from GPI Racing. I just got to put the clamps on it, stuff like that. But right now I've got this fork leg all cleaned up, and it's cleaned up is about as good as I'm going to do. I'm going to probably do some wraps on it, maybe like some black wraps. I think it'll look good. But yeah, let's get this installed in the bike loosely. So this right here, guys, is just one of the rubbers for the gas tank, and just like everything else, I put a little white mark on it to let me know that I have already put a wrench on it and it's good to go. I'm basically just grabbing a bag of parts and just putting it on wherever it says that it needs to go. Just because it's all got to go back together, so, you know, as long as I'm putting parts on the bike, then we're moving forward, and that's what matters.
I'm going to transfer this call to a qualified debt specialist, and they will provide you some more information about the program.
Debt elimination services, how are they today?
Not bad, but it's still early.
Okay. So, I believe that you were responding to this call for the debt elimination on your credit card, right?
I think that's what she called about, yeah.
Okay, so on which credit card you want a debt elimination? Like, is that your Visa or the Master?
Probably my Visa.
Okay, and how much you think you owe on your Visa card? Do you have any rough idea?
I think my Visa might have probably 8 or 9 maybe.
Okay, so now as the next step, I just want to make sure that I'm not applying a debt elimination on expired card. So can you please verify me the expiration date of your credit card?
I think it's like a 23 maybe, 2023.
Can you please grab your credit card and verify me the exact expiration date?
Yeah, it's like 2023, 7 of 23, put that down, 7 of 23.
And verify me a card number in order to provide you the quick summary of yours.
What do you need the card number for?
In order to provide you the quick summary of I will able to provide you the balance detail of your account. I will read out the current balance, the last payment you made, the due payment required, and how much AP are you paying on this account, and what's your interest rate will be. And according to your billing statement, one of our credit bureau experience, he will explain you the services, and he will let you know how much rate will be eliminated on your credit card.
So, how does that work? You pay off all my debt?
Not all.
Not all of it?
Eliminate the 5% debt from your credit card.
So do you guys pay like most of it?
Not gonna pay that most of it. We gonna eliminate it.
Oh, so I'll have no debt?
You have a debt, but up to 45%. Like if you have a balance of $10,000 on your credit card,
Yeah.
so we're gonna eliminate $5,500 from your credit card, and you just have to pay the remaining $4,500 in the monthly minimum payment.
Wow.
The way you are doing what? After that, your card will be paid off.
Okay, so let's do this. While I got you on the phone, let's do the mortgage too. We'll cut that in half. Let's get that done.
Can you please verify me your card number so I'm able to provide you the quick summary of your...
Well, I mean, are we going to be able to do the mortgage too? Because I mean, I owe like $125 on it now. So if we could get that cut down in half, then we could do that, and then we could do like all the credit cards all at once. Roll it right into one big thing.
But can you please verify me this card number?
Yeah, I can. But are we going to be able to do the mortgage too?
Sure.
You can do the mortgage too.
Yeah.
This isn't a scam. This sounds almost too good to be true.
Why you don't go and fuck yourself, you son of a bitch? No, you don't have any credit card.
Are you in Calcutta? You're in Calcutta, huh? So what they do is they put it on mute, and they're still listening. Oh, I wanted you to know you're going to be on YouTube too. So you want to say something to the YouTube people? Say something. Tell them how intelligent you are. Yeah, those scammers are like low life. They prey on old people, generally.
For me, I think one of the best parts about restoring a motorcycle like this is that you physically get to put your hands on each and every part. You're inspecting it, you're cleaning it, you're making it look like new. So by the time you're all said and done with the project, you've physically touched everything and you know what is and what isn't right. And as you go, you can just start replacing stuff as you need it. You don't always get this luxury when you're buying a used dirt bike, but here, whereas we're going so deep in it, we do.
Alright, so I just popped off this top triple clamp real quick, so just remove that nut so I could get this on. Now this is for the steering dampener, so that's all on there, that's all cinched down. I didn't show you doing that, but now we'll put the steering dampener on. So I've already cleaned it up, so that just goes on there like that, and yeah, we just got to screw it down. We can start getting the handlebars on and stuff. Now I'm going to put a little bit of anti-seize on there just to be safe. You know what I mean? I don't want this ever getting welded inside the top clamp, you know?
Then when I'm finished the entire dirt bike, I'll go over every single fastener, even the ones that are marked white, and I will put a torque wrench on them and just make sure that everything is brought up to torque properly, because that's the right way to do it. That way you know it's tight and you know it's right.
Alright, now we'll put the bars on it, and what I'm going to do, just to make it easy, I'm going to leave all this stuff on it like it is, and I've just cleaned up this section right across here, and I cleaned up the top clamps, and then what I'll do, just because this is mounted, it's just a lot easier, then I can strip the grips off it, and I can just individually start cleaning up components and work on one by one to make it a little bit more manageable. And I'm going to do the same thing here, guys, put a little bit of never seize on everything, just a good habit to get into. So that way your fasteners don't corrode and give you problems, you know.
And this is just about going to do it for this week's episode, guys. We're getting really, really close to getting this done, and I'm going to try not to like drag it on for 50 episodes. So next week we should have a really good handle on this project. We should be just about done. That's my hope, anyways.
The angle, though, I'm really not sure. As far as like rolling them backwards and forwards, I don't really know. Like I say, I won't know that until I'm actually on it, riding it. But the bottom of the frame's kind of flat, and my levers are kind of tipped down, so that kind of tells me it's probably pretty close of where it should be.
And one of the last things I'm doing here is I'm just tightening up the fitting for the hydraulic clutch.
And that's all there is to it, guys. Be sure to tune in next week. I think we're going to be just about done with assembly on this. Then we'll be starting it up and adding the graphics and things like that. So new videos every week. I want to thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you're wondering what I'm working on before it makes it up to YouTube, you guys can catch me on Facebook and on Instagram. I'll have links down below. If you're wondering about any of the tools or any of the things that you see me using, go ahead and check the links down below as well. Until next Friday, guys, I will see you then. Take care, stay safe, see ya. Like, comment, subscribe. Bye.